Hi, folks. Today we're going to let Stuart lead proceedings. So straight over to you, Stuart.
Right. Apparently today is a bank holiday. I've only just discovered it. I knew it was VE Day, and that's another story. But apparently it's a bank holiday. Now, they talk about mixed messages. We've been getting a big, long story about mixed messages across the border, here, there, and everywhere. We've been getting mixed messages for years in Scotland. They shut down everything on a Monday. I don't know how many times a year because they have bank holidays in England. Here in Scotland, we have local holidays, and they very rarely coincide, and it's confusing.
Well, I mean, English bank holidays have kind of transmogrificated across the border, haven't they?
Well, they have in Edinburgh because if it's a real bank holiday, and not just a holiday, but if the banks are actually closed, then the finance sector in Edinburgh has to close as well because there's no business.
Right.
Now, if you recall, Norrie, I used to work every Monday holiday through the spring. I won't bother explaining why, but I used to work every Monday morning if it was a holiday. I took every holiday that was going. Edinburgh local holidays, English bank holidays, any Monday holiday. But that's a mixed message that we're already getting. We're living with mixed messages, and I'm sick and tired of hearing we're accused of mixed messaging in Scotland. The mixed messages come from London.
Stuart, that's a unionist mixed message. It doesn't count. It's only Scottish mixed messages. Jimmy, have you gone to sleep or are you meditating?
A bit of both, mate.
Well, today's presser certainly had a few mentions of mixed messages. That's Nicola Sturgeon's press conference. They're still desperately trying to get her to disagree with Boris, but the Welsh First Minister has written to Boris Johnson and said, England's England, Wales is Wales. Keep your mucky paws off the Welsh NHS, the Welsh decisions about lockdown, etc. How do we feel about that? He then proceeded to unlock, what's he talking about? Library?
Garden centres and libraries, aye.
Everybody
in Wales over the age of 70. Who gives a crap about libraries in this day and age? Who goes to a library?
Well, exactly. How on earth are they going to protect us in a library if there's somebody going through all the books with their fingers and they're infected and I follow them in? I mean, how are they going to protect us?
I see. That's another reason that you should Kindle, boys. I'm a Kindle man now, although I do occasionally have to sniff a book just to keep my head together.
I wouldn't go to a garden centre either. You know, if you can't grow your own stuff, you didn't surely having to go and spend hundreds of pounds on shite that somebody else has grown because you can't grow it. Surely that just marks you as somebody who shouldn't have a garden or an allotment at that point.
Well, I happen to
get into a garden centre.
I happen to know one or two garden centres. The brand name springs to mind, Dobbies. Sounds like a horse to me, and they've got beer gardens, restaurants, bars. I mean, you could go to a garden centre in Wales next week and have a right old
hoolie.
A hoolie.
Aye.
You don't need to go to Wales. The Bow Bar and that are opening next week.
The Bow Bar's going to open next week?
The Bow Bar, the Stockbridge Tap and Cloisters, they're opening very restricted hours to do what the Malt and Hops done in Leith last week, but made a James Hunt of it and go shut back down again by the police. You can buy a 2.5 litre container of bevy, including some craft ciders apparently, some crisps, some peanuts, and go and possibly take it all home and sit in your back green as long as you're sitting 2 metres or so away from your
I think the Dreadnought, also known as the Halfway House at the end of my street, were doing that last week because the doors were open and there was a wee queue outside, so they must have been selling something.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, how long's that been? 7 weeks?
Well, that's the
sell-by date. The sell-by date on the beer.
I would have thought the real ale pubs like the Dreadnought, their sell-by dates would have been passed by now.
Oh, well past. Well past.
That's a good point.
Well, yeah. Sealed keg, maybe not. But...
Do you remember turning up with your own plastic bottle to take away draft beer.
Aye.
It was a sort of strange, pale brown mauve plastic thing, and they would fill it up for you, and you could take it home, 2 or 3 pints.
My mother, being much more sophisticated, of course, had an enamel jug.
Nice.
And she used to go.
Just to scud you over the back of the lugway if you were cheeky.
No, this was long before I came along.
Nah.
This is when the high street was a den of iniquity, and my family stayed up there. And she used to go down and get her granny's jug of beer and a double for
nice.
Well, my granny, her granny, actually, my great.
What's a double? Are we heavy?
No, a double-double's like 4 nips.
Oh, right. Okay, that's fair enough.
In those days, it would be, God, what would it be? 26 nips. Near enough, because it would be, 35 mil.
Well, if you want to mark time, quite simply, between now and, say, 40 years ago, they used to sell strong cider in a bottle that size, and it was called Babysham. Nowadays, they sell strong cider in a bottle that size. Times have changed, boys.
I see Babysham try to relaunch a couple of years ago and failed miserably because it didn't come in pints. Okay, anything else out the presser, boys? I'm presuming we all watched it.
On you go, Jimmy.
Well, I was intrigued to see a couple of them trying to stir the pot with the Chief Constable, seeing he was on site again. Trying to get him to say that he would shut the border, which he categorically said he wouldn't do because he doesn't have the powers to do, as we know. But I was more interested. Nobody asked him the question, why did 200 people get done for speeding in Edinburgh last week?
Because they were speeding.
I've had a worry about this guy. You ken me, I'm not a great fan of Police Scotland, but the fact that we had 3 clowns for the Met, one after the other, running Police Scotland, who had to leave under various clouds, but they never monetised policing in a way that it is in England. And then this boy gets promoted from within, and he is monetising it. Why on earth during lockdown have they got folk out with hairdryers? Nicking folk for speeding.
Right. Okay. Now, as far as I understand, fines that go to the Crown Office in Scotland go to the Treasury.
Doesn't matter, mate. He's monetising policing.
Now, I might be wrong about that. Somebody can email me and call me a fool. But I have it in a distant memory that fines don't go into the police budget and they don't go into the Scottish Government budget.
Can I just put in the Chief Constable did, he was clever as well with his answer. He said, like, right, we won't be putting roadblocks on the border, just like the Highlands. Now, why did he mention the Highlands if he didn't think, if it wasn't a possibility in his mind that he might have roadblocks in the Highlands?
Well, folk have taken their own things into their own hands up there, mate. If you drive up the A82 now, you'll not get in a lay-by. All the lay-bys have been shut by the locals. They put concrete blocks or they put hay bales or that on so that people can't come up in their camper vans and stop halfway, go into a lay-by and have a kip.
There you go. There you go.
Wales was blocking off roads into campsites.
Well, that was interesting. If you followed the First Minister of Wales, because I went and watched that, seeing as our First Minister was an hour late, and it was interesting. He actually specifically mentioned North and West Wales, and it was with reference basically to policing because they've got 4 different police forces in Wales. They didn't actually, again, they didn't specifically say it, but they already did a few weeks ago had roadblocks on the main roads into Wales in the north.
Right, because there's a, and let's be honest, it's not your normal punter, it's your punters with dough that have camper vans or that have got a second home. They're desperate to get down to their holiday cottage and treat this whole thing like a bit of a party.
The other thing that I noticed, this honesty seems to be infectious because the Chief Constable also said, due to human error, the speed of these new regulations coming in, there will be people who have been issued with on-the-spot fines who shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And when we discover that we made a mistake, we'll give them their money back. Now, I can't ever remember any chief constable admitting that errors were part of everyday life before.
Well, Norrie, he kind of had to. The bloody fight started fining people in Edinburgh before the emergency stuff was through Parliament. It hadn't gone through London or Edinburgh yet, and then Police Scotland were fining people. So you'll forgive me for saying, he might be being honest, or he might just be holding his hand up and saying, I'm sorry, we made a pig's lug of this, because somebody within Police Scotland had to give the instruction to start fining folk before they had the legal entitlement to do so.
Well, I've got a first-hand experience of policing this morning, because I stood outside in a small queue outside a chemist shop at the foot of the walk. We're four of us in a spread-out queue. Across the road was the usual Jakies, far more prominent than usual. They were right at the crossing. You couldn't miss them. In other words, the foot of the walk Jakies. There was about 10 to 10. They had cans and they were all shouting and yelling and slagging off people and all the rest of it. And the queue and people going past, they were moaning about them, and along comes a police car, slowly looks at them and just drove on. Now, if the public see that, the police are ignoring the very thing that really annoy the public.
Yeah, but I mean, that's been a congregation point for gentlemen that like a peeve out of can during the day for years. Every now and again they go down, they clear it out, to make some moaning face sod happy, and they go and congregate somewhere else.
No, but the point is, it's making ordinary people angry and making them not happy
made
about
ordinary people angry.
But why would they maintain the quarantine or stay home when they see other people just getting away with it?
Stuart, there are certain members of our society whose main aim in life is to get smashed out their brains as soon as possible during the day.
And just annoy people.
And these people, I'm saying guys, but...
Oh no, I'm taking it all back, but it's quite right. I think most people just expect them to be badly behaved.
Aye, and if it's not the foot of the walk, it'll be somewhere else.
You have to have some sympathy for those with chaotic lifestyles. If they've had to get up at 9:15 to get their methadone fix and get a couple of cans out of Lidl's on the cheap before Lidl's run out of the cheap sauce, more power to their elbow as far as I'm concerned. As long as they're not bothering me, I didn't give a crap.
This reference to methadone and queuing outside chemists puts Stuart's trip to the chemist in bad light.
Well, I had to go there for life-saving heart medication this morning. I was down to the last tablet. I'd like to point out, before we move on to anywhere else, that the First Minister came up with another 3-syllable or 4-syllable word message this morning. What did she say? You're staying in to save your life.
That's got more than 3 or 4 syllables, mate.
Well, I couldn't.
Well, yeah, okay, meters on 4. But yeah, and she's going to keep doing that. I find the most interesting thing is the back down. The back down. Yeah, that's the right word. From the UK government, who had obviously floated this idea that lockdown was about to finish to the press. That wasn't an accident. The press didn't pick that up.
They briefed the press on Wednesday night and then briefed them a completely different thing on Thursday night.
Yeah, it was.
In fact, a couple of members of the press did tweet last night that they were briefed the exact opposite of what they'd been briefed 24 hours prior.
Well, I'll teach them. They shouldn't be listening to what Dominic Cummings got to say then, should they?
Well, really, I think the important point here is I think that this Tory government is going to govern by front pages. I think they're going to fly kites all over the place. What do the public think of this? Let's lie to the press.
That's going to be such a mess. That is mixed messaging.
Well, look at the mess it's already caused.
All right. Well, there is another story, and we can possibly connect to it today. We've got now the national newspaper, Scotland's only pro-independence newspaper, and it's part of the fact that nearly half the population, or perhaps more than half the population, support independence. they've actually now overtaken the Herald and the Scotsman's digital subscribers. They've got more, and the Herald and the Scotsman have been around for over 100 years. The National's only been around for about 6. So well done to the National. But when it comes to newspapers and headlines, and we all saw all the headlines from all the London papers the morning before yesterday, they've got to the point where people aren't buying the print version. What happens is it's all about designing the headlines and who owns the paper rack in Sainsbury's, in Asda, and who arranges which headlines you see as you walk past. That's what matters nowadays. Think about it.
Stuart, you're working under the misapprehension that people even give a shit about what's in the headlines. I've never looked at a paper rack in God only knows how long.
Aye.
Genuinely, if I walked into Asda or Sainsbury's, I would never look at the newspaper rack. I wouldn't be interested in it because I wouldn't be going to buy a newspaper.
There you go. Well, if you're not buying a newspaper, you're not even a customer. So, I mean, but if people are not buying print newspapers, so it's only the headlines that matter anymore, because they're what you see online as well.
I buy print. I mean, I still get Private Eye, the New Statesman, and the Spectator.
Oh.
In that order, New Statesman and Spectator, so I can get opposite views and basically slag them both off. Mm-hmm. But I'm Private
Secret
Eye.
Fraser Nelson fan, are
we? Fraser Nelson will surprise you occasionally. He's ridiculously right-wing Tory until he isn't. He'll come out with some stuff that I just didn't expect to hear him say.
Yeah, that's just typical posh, mate. They try and throw you off, but the fact that they're taught to do that. Don't always write to type. Don't always let people know how privileged you are.
Remember, Fraser's the black sheep of the family. Everybody else is in the SNP.
Fraser Nelson.
With that accent.
What? That's not an accent. That's an affectation. Mm-hmm. Where did he get that accent from?
Where did he get that? Fetties or Harriets?
Do you know the only place I've ever heard that accent? You know the guy that does the walkabout, the locks thing in Scotland?
Aye, Paul Merton.
He's got the same accent. Did they go to the same school?
It's a bit international school. It's a bit like Jackie Bailey. Jackie Bailey's got an international school accent. And the only reason I know it's the international school accent is a certain friend of ours who shall remain nameless, who works for the SQA, has the exact same accent and really gets annoyed every time I tell her she sounds exactly like Jackie Bailey.
That'll upset her. Sorry, there was something else in the National, Stuart, that you wanted to pop at.
Yes, there was a good wee story there. Apparently, a Scottish mum has hit out at a Dumfries and Galloway school. Oh, Alistair Union Jack's department down there, for giving her children an inappropriate homework assignment that involved decorating the garden with Union flags for VE Day. She wasn't happy about that. She thought it was totally inappropriate, and she's got a lot of publicity about it. 1,000 people have supported her online. I've no idea how many people were bad to her. The woman said her children asked her what VE Day was when they received the task, and heard a lot about the Second World War from Grandpa. She added, "They are of the opinion war shouldn't be celebrated, as they've heard a lot about it from my dad growing up. He felt it was holding it against the Germans, now, as most of the soldiers are dead."
In other words, she has an opinion that she is projecting onto their children that they shouldn't learn about VE Day. If her kids are asking her what VE Day is about, she should be educating her kids. They should know regardless.
I'll tell you what got me was the British Legion press release that had VE Day as victory over Europe.
I thought that was the Daily Mail.
I think it came from I think it was the British Legion, who don't make mistakes like that normally.
Can you hear the ship's horns going off now in the background?
Is that what that is?
Clearly we've reached 3 o'clock because the ships in the docks are putting off their horns at 3 o'clock, and then apparently they're also going to shine their searchlights up into the sky at 10.
Well, I don't have a problem with VE Day.
Damn it, but I'm delighted to see that when I went out for a wee donder earlier, I never saw a single Union Jack anywhere around Leith.
If I was ever going to feel the need to fly a Union Jack, it would be something like VE Day. And it would be for the vets. It would be for the people who lived through it, to let you know that you appreciated what they did. I can't get on this bandwagon that people who laid their lives on the line in uniform for the rest of us shouldn't be appreciated. They should be.
That's not the problem. The problem is this is now a confected. We did this 5 years ago with 70 years. This is all part of a English exceptionalism. It's all about Britain this and Britain the next thing. It's not isolated. Yes, you're perfectly right. You have to respect the people that died. But it's being used in a nasty nationalist way.
Yeah, but how else do you do it? I mean, I'm sorry, I can't get exercised about this. While there is one Second World War vet left, I don't have a problem with it. When they've all gone, then it becomes questionable in a different way.
Well, there's not many going to be around in 10 years' time.
No, exactly. So and it's the same with Captain Tom. I don't have a problem with that.
All right, but neither of you guys actually grew up in the 50s. I grew up in the 50s. My father had a very difficult job. He had to go to bomb sites, places that had just been bombed, and write environmental reports. And he was an environmental officer, and he died young. And my family believe that he died young of asbestosis. They never talked about the war.
No.
They had a horrible war. They never talked to anybody that grew up in the 50s will tell you nobody mentioned the war. All they wanted to do was forget about it.
There was a huge difference. Jill's dad, who served in Burma as a pilot, he could talk about it because he didn't see it up close, face to face. My dad, who served in Burma, never talked about it because he actually had to shoot people and shot at. Mm-hmm. And it was only when he was delirious through an infection that he even mentioned it. Mm-hmm. You know, and that was because he thought he was back there.
I think it's a bit much that the British Legion would have victory over Europe Day. It's a bit sad, given how many Europeans actually fought on our side. It's the one thing the one problem I have with, obviously, the Union flag. I'm not a great fan of. I didn't see why we pay reverence to the Union flag, because at the end of the day, it's a flag of a political construct that I feel constrains my country in ways it shouldn't be constrained. As for the veterans, I totally agree with you, but I do wish we'd accept how many Russians, how many Yanks, how many Chinese, how many Indians, how many Bangladeshis all fought alongside us. And they're not interested in prancing about waving Union Jacks and having afternoon tea parties.
Maybe we should start instituting an Indian Vets Day and a Polish Vets Day and a Free French Vets Day.
We couldn't appreciate the Poles, mate. We just chased them out of a bloody country for the last few years.
I think we should have a European shame day, ashamed of what happened in Germany. I mean, you think about it, and ashamed of what nearly happened in this country. Don't forget who supported fascism before.
Sorry, I'm not talking about the Daily Mail.
Oh, well, but what about the king? They had to abdicate. They made the excuse it was because he was going to marry an unsuitable woman. It's because he was a fascist. He went off and supported Hitler.
No, well, let's be clear. Let's be honest. His support of Hitler wouldn't have stopped him ascending the throne. He couldn't ascend the throne because he insisted on marrying somebody who had been married before and had been divorced.
Well, I disagree with that. I think that was just the excuse. But no,
that's written into the law, Stuart. It's written into the constitution of this country that he couldn't marry a divorcee.
Yeah. It was very convenient.
His political leanings matter neither here nor there. If Prince Charles ascends the throne and starts talking to his fucking courgettes, he'll still be king.
I expect he will talk to his courgettes. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Decades, isn't he?
Are Catholics still allowed to?
No,
not allowed to be on the
still
throne.
Not allowed. Yes.
No. And the English still won't admit they were invaded successfully in 1688 by the Dutch. They still thought the last time we were invaded was 1066. No, it wasn't.
That's not the Protestant Dutch you're talking about, is it?
Oh,
Yes.
that was William, who became William the Third.
Was half his army Catholic?
Everybody moans about Elizabeth II, but what about William the Third? He was William the first of Britain.
Well, I don't care. These people
Did he get
matter.
a monkey's eye?
These people really do not matter to me at
What else did I
all.
want to point out?
Oh, Jimmy, subject.
Yeah. Aye. Just a wee heads up, guys. I thought maybe Section 77 had got a wee bonus for VE Day because there was an awful lot of strange posting in various Yes groups and websites over Tinternet last night. I thought they'd all got a wee bonus to get back to work again today, but see the amount of anti-vaccine and weird conspiracy crap that's getting posted into Yes groups all over Facebook and Twitter now. Do you think this is deliberate to make us look like a bunch of screaming lunatics?
Yeah.
So that nobody will take us seriously?
Yeah. And I think the sooner we get our own messaging set up, I don't know how we do it, but our own Twitter, the better. Although I do have to say that I noticed Wings today has basically used Yesser's money to run a poll about the equality legislation that's going through. Was it GRA? Is it
GRA? Yeah. Yeah, that was a poll that came out a couple of days ago, wasn't it? Because he had some odd. Peter Bell had reposted it this morning. It had some strange questions in there and some pretty weird contrivances to get to the point that he was looking to make.
Well, he kind of
leave it alone.
His position is that the legislation that they're trying to get through Holyrood at the moment for the GRA is not going to be conducive to mayor votes for the SNP. That's how he gets there.
I think we should censor that from every discussion.
I thought it had been set aside. I thought the SNP had already said it's not happening in this Parliament.
Yeah, but there's some other legislation going through that has kind of got. I'm not 100% sure about it. I haven't read it. But
yeah,
But I think just talking about it is you're walking in dangerous waters.
Stuart,
we can't no talk about this. It's one of the biggest bloody things happening in Scottish politics now. The hate crime legislation and the GRA.
But he's starting to sound like Wings himself. You're starting to sound like
we haven't taken a position, Stuart.
And look what happened to Stuart Campbell by getting wrapped up in this issue. We should stay out of it. That's my position.
But that's your position, mate. But your position can it be that me and Norrie can't talk about stuff because you didn't want to talk about it?
Well, I think it's a very bad idea.
Well, I mean, my position.
People won't respect what we talk about if we get involved in this as well.
Well, I mean, my position isn't yay or nay. My position is I want to see if anybody's got a solution that squares the circle. Because there are two loads of people who could suffer. That is women and their rights and trans people. And I don't want to see either side suffer. But I haven't seen a solution that gives both sides what they want.
Well, there you go. You're just adding meat to my argument. It's a mess. Let's stay out of it.
Even that's worth saying, I think.
Yeah, well.
You know. Anything else, guys, that came leaping out at you today?
Not really. I think this weekend could see some interesting developments in America. I think Trump's dug himself another hole, and with a bit of luck, he'll throw himself face first into it.
What's he done now?
Well, it's just this whole thing of encouraging the states to rebel against their governors. You've got a group of like 7 or 8 governors now who, in particular that guy in New York, but you've also got the governor over in California who just borrowed some incredible, I think it might have been $350 billion.
I'm sure he can afford it.
Yeah, well, California is effectively a massive part of America's economy, but the governor of California has borrowed a massive amount of money from the federal government, and Trump's okayed that, and then he comes out and absolutely slates the boy, and you're like, What happens if California turns around and says, see that money we borrowed off you? We've decided to renege on paying it.
I'm at the point with this guy where Trump I'm talking about here, where I just cannot get my head round whether he's destructive, stupid, or mad. He does nothing consistently.
You forget how much power he's got behind him. The biggest money, the biggest oligarchs in the world are behind him.
I don't think he has, Stuart. I think he's an outlier. I think he's genuinely an outlier. Because he does things that's no good, it has no benefit to them either. Not when we're talking about lockdown, but a trade war with China. These guys make money out of China. Why would they want that? You know, he's a crazy man.
Again, mate, there's stuff in the press this morning about his trade war, and there's also stuff in different press where they're still pushing ahead with the trade deal. How can you have a trade deal and a trade war at the same time? And yet Trump seems determined that he's getting both.
I think he thinks it's about strategy. And I don't think he's
trying to get a better deal.
I don't think he actually knows what his job is. I don't think he even knows how much power the President of the United States has or doesn't have.
I think he is mentally ill.
I think Stuart's probably right. I think there's been a few occasions where he's acted in a manner that would suggest that whatever medication he's on, he'd taken either too early in the day or not early enough in the day.
Mogadon.
Well, when you think about Boris Johnson's hero, Churchill ran on booze and sleeping pills.
Booze, cigars, and sleeping pills. We eat brandy for breakfast.
I've got something that we haven't even quite mentioned. It's quite a short one. So it would appear that there could be some substance in the idea there's a conspiracy against Stu Campbell's Wings Twitter account, because we've just been reminded that the head of the chief editor of Twitter Europe is actually a serving officer of the 77th Brigade, the British Army division, for rubbishing anything to do with the separatism of Scotland, amongst other things, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's. I'm pretty sure that boy was forced to step aside when that became apparent in the middle of last year, when it was last summer that came out.
And I hope when we get
only 2 months ago.
I hope when we get our independence that the Scottish government has got somebody in Twitter as well. Sorry, by the security services.
I think it's given what the security services appear to have done in Ireland. I mean, we can never say for sure, but it certainly looks like they were that bloody good at placing people within the what they considered the enemy, the IRA, that Martin McGuinness certainly looks to have been a plant. And it would appear that his pal with a beard, Jerry Adams, if he wasn't a plant, well, half his family were. They had half his family on the payroll. So I think we can say pretty much with certainty that there are people within the SNP, probably even serving members of Parliament or MSPs, who have been bought by the British security services.
I would very much think that's true.
I mean, it's one of the things that Britain.
I'm not going to disagree.
One of the as much as I'm not a fan of Great Britain, well, you can, I'm not. But it's one of the things they've been bloody good at over the years is spying. Admittedly, they had a couple of disasters with the Cambridge communists and what have you, but they've managed to get people into every organisation on the planet. So to imagine that they're not in the SNP and the Yes Movement would just be a bit naive.
Jimmy, as you know, the working class are much more patriotic than the upper class. And the Cambridge Spy Circle were all upper class.
Yeah, but mate, for a certain type of people, you need to look. That's why I'm saying, particularly politicians, you need to look for arrogance in people. because the one thing that every spy has in common is they think they're smarter than every bugger round about them. So that's how you recruit them, mate. You play to their arrogance. You play to what they think of themselves.
I'm open to honey traps, by the way.
All right. Well, that reminds me.
I am susceptible to honey traps.
Oh yeah.
If anybody's interested.
You mean compromat in the Russian version? Compromat.
The only honey I'm interested in is going into my rum or my lasagna sauce. Other than that, you can keep it.
Okay.
and on that pitch for a role as a spy for the British government, I think we'll end it. Thanks, guys. That ended quite. I wonder if they'll phone me. I'll let you know.
Aye, do let us know, Norman.
Cheers for now, folks. Thanks for listening.
Oh, one last thing.
Oh, God, got to get the last bloody word.
No, the one last thing, because you've got to remember, there was some conversation on Twitter about, or was it Facebook, about revolution. Can either of you remember the band that came up with the song, The Revolution Starts at Closing Time?
No.
Oh, I should know that.
You should know this one, Norrie and Jimmy.
No.
The name of the band? Serious Drinking.
Never heard of them.
You never heard of them? Look it up.
They never had a hit, Jimmy.
They did very well in the pub.
Yes. Right. Okay, and on that note, thank you, Jimmy Hutton, Stuart Lockhead, I'm Norrie Stewart. Thanks for listening, folks, and we'll have a day off tomorrow, I think, being as it's Saturday, but we'll be back on Sunday with a full schedule of nonsense and politics. Cheers for now.